The Predator is the second most awesome Xeno of all time, second only to the midnight black beast that is the Xenomorph. In the 1990s, the Predator was going up against everybody. He thought he had every single hero's number. Really though, he definitely should have saved the best for last, because the very first duel, as they would come to be known, was against the mighty Batman. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Batman versus the Predator. Is there any more awesome title? Batman is probably the most reasonable superhero for the Predator to fight. Batman has one power, his mind. No flight, no super strength, nothing. All he can do is outthink his enemy. Now, Batman vs. the Predator 3 would actually be the very first comic that I would ever read. I picked it up from a local grocery store at the age of 6 or 7. I'm not entirely sure what age I was at the time. And I loved it. It would not be until the year 2000 that I would finally read some more Batman vs. the Predator comics. I decided to actually pick up the first run of the comic itself. And that was because I wanted to know what led up to Batman vs. the Predator 3. And I so happened to pick up this first run at a flea market. You see, the year was 2000, and sadly comic shops across the country were closing down due to a wide variety of reasons. And at that particular flea market, there was a seller selling off all his old stock after his comic shop closed. That depressed me then, and it still depresses me today. So, to alleviate that depression, let's jump straight into this most awesome of comic.
Batman vs. the Predator was a 3-issue miniseries first released in 1991 and was written by Dave Gibbons. The 3 covers for Betty v. Preddy are kinda crap. In fact, some of the back art would have made for a better cover. Like this one here. The Predator actually looks right and Betty is not pulling some idiotic face. This other piece of art looks kind of hilarious as it seems like the Batman and the Predator are teaming up for whatever reason. Cover 1 has the Predator standing on the right facing something off-panel. His helmet is all wrong and doesn't look like it would actually fit on the Predator's face, and just looks pretty bloody dumb overall. The spear's cutting edge is facing the wrong way, and the background makes this look like a Terminator comic. Also, that skull is really pulling an over-the-top face. Bone shouldn't be able to do that. Turn it over on the back and what in the name of Darkseid is this?
Yeah, I'm Batman.
Batty here is hunched over with really pointy fingers and the dumbest expression possible on his face. He doesn't look cool, he doesn't look imposing, and he certainly doesn't look menacing. Cover 2 is a bit of an improvement. Now it looks like a Batman comic and not a bloody Terminator one. We have, at first glance, what appears to be an epic scene. You have the Batty and the Preddy facing each other on a clock tower. The art is really well detailed, and what's wrong with Batman's face again? Why does it look like he has bat constipation instead of bat determination? Why does the Predator have this really goofy looking face yet again? And trust me, lads and lasses, the Predator's face almost never looks good even in his own comic series. The cover is better and is more enticing than the first, but still could have been improved considerably. Cover 3 is better in terms of faces, but now the Predator's proportions are all wrong, and he looks like a pred snake rather than an actual yachtja. Batman looks better, but he is not striking a heroic pose, and the Batmobile just looks silly. It looks like a standard sports car with a bat face bolted to the bumper. Overall, had I cared about the covers and not the subject matter, I would have not been at all enticed to pick up the comic due to the faces being really goofy looking, and the overall poses are quite lackluster. Even the trade paperbacks cover is crap. What is up with Batman's teeth? He could chew steel with those choppers! Big ass teeth aside, the comic opens appropriately enough at a boxing match between not Mike Tyson and some random guy. This, of course, carries on the tradition of most Predator comics, where the story opens up with something pertaining to either fighting or survival. The boxing match is edited well and gets the reader pumped up for some Predator hunting action. What kind of annoys me about this Predator is that he's more or less Predator God. He always wins every fight and just effortlessly cleaves through his opponents, to the point where one would think he would be out of practice fighting anyone who can actually put up a fight. The Big P faces down Mike Tyson only to just shoot a net at him.
Truly, the most epic of duels.
This first issue sets up all the major players in Gotham and gives great backstory to all the characters that are going to be hunted down by the Predator. After Mike Tyson gets cut into Tyson's chicken fingers, Batman goes to investigate, and his intro is just awesome looking. It is pure Batman. The art for the comic is nothing short of exceptional and straddles the line between realistic and stylized.
It's stylized enough to look really cool, but it's realistic enough to know just what the hell you're looking at.
Batman in this comic is classic comic baddie, otherwise known as Skinny Bat. He has well-detailed musculature, but he's fairly skinny and less of the bat tank that he is today. Also, he has really tall and skinny ears and a massive flowing cape. So massive, I get the feeling that people get hit in the face with it all the time. At the crime scene, Batman finds that not Mike Tyson not only had his skull and spine removed, but also his mighty hands. Back at the Batcave, he ponders what to do about this new killer. There is an offhanded mention about hunting, and Batty tells Big Al to get rid of his grandfather's old hunting trophies. This desire to purge his home of all of his grandfather's hunting trophies seems to come out of nowhere, and really he should have kept those trophies since they do belong to his family and he should honor the success of his forebears. But whatever, gotta make that green message. In issue 1, Batman does what he does best, kicking asses and doing science, and figures out that the Predator must have his base set up in a junkyard because he found some magnetized rust shavings. Big Al finds the junkyard where he thinks the Predator is hiding, and Betty goes to investigate. And this is where the comics version of the Predator seems a little off. Batty discovers that the Predator was calling a dingy trailer home, and finds all the trophies in there. The problem is, this feels less like the Predator, more like something a slasher villain like Leatherface would do. It just doesn't feel right. The Leather Predator returns to find Batman snooping around. The battle is well paced and never devolves into, what the hell just happened? And Batty uses some cool moves like dropping a shitload of junk on the Predator. But it is of course to no avail, as the might of the Leather Pred cannot be brought down by mere car crap. And the comic ends with Batman getting the crap kicked out of him, and then making an offensive in a rearward direction.
Just about every bloody Predator duel will have this happen. Predator shows up, superhero tries to beat him down, and the Predator beats him down instead. Doesn't matter if it's Judge Joe Dredd or Magnus Robot Fighter. This, of course, has to happen. You can't have the superhero win in 15 pages, and you can't have the Predator kill off the superhero. Really, this is actually a very good trope, as it shows that both the superhero and the Predator are tough.
The second issue of the comic is one big slaughterfest. All the characters introduced in issue 1 go toe-to-toe with the Predator, only to get turned into Tyson chicken nuggets. Batman is barely in this issue, and I find this to be a very good thing, as it shows just how much more powerful the Predator is when compared to non-superheroes. In this issue, the Predator straight up slaughters almost everyone, even Gordon, and Gordon is only just barely saved by the brave and mighty Kandowski, a hot and tough female cop who gets some good shots in before the Predator ends her life.
I thought that was hardcore. Very seldom will we actually see a badass female character killed off. And really though, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of her. And of course, this once again proves that in the 90s, the badass female character was alive and well.
Issue 2 has a couple of goofy scenes though, most notably this one. It looks cool without context, but with context, it's notably less so. So Batman is recuperating and building a Bat anti-Predator battlesuit, dubbed the Batmanal suit. But everyone thinks that he's dead, or at least injured, or possibly just scared. And all throughout the comic, the Predator watches TV. That's right, the Predator sits in front of the old boob tube, and when some idiot says, "The Predator is going down," he sees it on TV, and then takes out the foolhardy idiot. The Pred watching TV is dumb enough, but while watching TV, he learns that Batty has not been seen and thinks that he has actually killed the Batman, and thus climbs to the top of this building and basically does a woohoo pose. Woohoo! This issue ends in the most epic manner possible. Batman, after being away for the entire comic, shows up in his new Batmanal suit and says, "I'm the one it wants. Let it come and get me." This panel is exceptional. The Batmanal suit is lovingly detailed. The background buildings are perfectly stylized to build the very image of Gotham City. And the bat signal in the background shows that Batman is Gotham's protector.
As is usual for these duels, the final battle between the Predator and Batman is at the very end of the series. Now, this particular duel I feel is handled a little bit better. There was never a mini duel in issue 2 between the Predator and Batman. And that is good, because if there was a mini duel, that would make both look really bloody incompetent. And thankfully, this comic never tries to make either side look bad.
And that is a key factor in why this comic works so well. Neither character is made to look bad. Batman is still the badass Dark Knight, and the Predator, when he's not emulating Leatherface or watching TV, is still the hardcore hunter we know and love. And thankfully, the Predator does not actually become Predator God when facing Batman. He's still Predator God when facing everyone else, but against Batman, it's definitely a much more even match.
With the mighty Batman back on the scene in his Batmanal suit, it is time for the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny.
If you thought that battle was awesome, the ending gets even better. Batman has the Predator locked up, but the Predator, being a badass, starts up his self-destruct device. Batty, in a hard-to-follow scene, uses a bat electrical cable to, bat short it out? The Predator, unfortunately, is able to escape, only to face... But it gets even better. In an echo to the Predator, Batman has to take off his Batmanal suit Bat Helm. And like the Predator, without it he cannot see as well, due to the fact that he got injured earlier in the comic. Batman then busts out of Wayne Manor with Bat in hand.
Wait for it!
Batman beats the crap out of the Predator with a bat and then says, "Batman," while hitting him with a bat. This then causes the Predator to start laughing uproariously. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how you insert humor into action segments. The comic ends with the Predator's buddies showing up and the Predator committing harakiri. The Predator Elder then bows to the greatness that is the non-Bat God Batman and gives Batman the dead Pred sword. And the comic ends with Batman saying that the Predators will stay the hell out of Gotham because they know that there is something way scarier than they are. But Batman did not count on people wanting to make lots of money because this comic would be so successful that the Predators would return 2 more times. I think those Predators must not have got the memo that Batman is the boss and ain't no mandible bastard is gonna take him down. The comic is amazing from start to finish. The action is exciting, the writing is nothing short of transcendent, and is able to transition from dramatic to comedic without jarring the reader. And the art is an absolute joy to look at, and it's no wonder that the readers of this comic demanded more For better or worse, out of all the duels, this is the best of the best. To Batman, the Predator is a legitimate threat, and in Batman City, the Predator actually stands out and is not just another generic alien amongst the multitude.
This is a comic that transcends the mere duel. This is both a good Batman comic and a good Predator comic, and is a must-read if you are either a Batman or Predator fan. And so, I am GeneralLotz, wishing you good Batman v Superman, Batman versus the Predator 2, and good Batman versus the Predator 3, whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed my review of Batman vs. the Predator 1, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you these great comic book reviews.